It is now time to go racing here this afternoon, as it is now time for heat racing action for your mini and micro Swifts that are about to take the docket. And as they join out onto the track, we'll go ahead and give you your starting lineup here. One moment. As they open up the gate to release the drivers out onto the track. As the mini Swifts are heading out and micro Swifts are heading out onto the track. Mini Swift will be immediately after this. Here is your starting lineup for the mini Swift category. It is Kason Hendrickson who will be on the pole, followed by Will Fettingsher, who is going to on second place. Third place will be Liat Simonellik, followed by Lincoln Wiley in row 2. Row 3 will be Blake Martinez and Miller Russa, followed by Christopher Heinzen in row number 4. 5 minutes plus 2 laps for each of these drivers out here today. So we're going to see the excitement that's about to kick off here in about a lap's time.
Yeah, I saw a lot of interesting, fun to watch racing in the morning groups. So hopefully we get the same in the afternoon groups as well. See them all starting to form up onto the old track as you get a shot here from the banked turn number 6. Just waiting for these micro drivers to funnel around into the tram lanes. There you can see them coming into turn 5 here. Taylor seems like they're at a decent pace and holding steady, so hopefully once they get to the back straight and to the tail end into turn 7, should get this race underway.
Absolutely. The field works their way on to the back straightaway. 5 karts for 5 minutes plus 2 laps. Lights are still showing yellow. Make sure they're all lined up properly. Do we get the green light, the green flag? Yes, indeed. It is time for heat racing action this afternoon as the field works their way around. And already James Fox checking out on the competition. Maxwell, Hale, and McNeely follow through.
Yeah, it's a bit of rinse and repeat from this morning. James Fox out to a huge lead already, waiting for the rest of the field to come across the line. And just like that, it's 2.4 seconds to the good of James Fox. He's definitely out to try and get a win today after, that early retirement in the final of the cadet race earlier on this morning. James Fox leading the way. 2.4 seconds at the line. Surely, though, Taylor, this is probably going to be around 5 seconds once we get to the start-finish stripe.
Absolutely. It's going to go by pretty quick. McNeely trying everything he can to see if he can keep pace with James Fox, but so far not going to work out for him as he works his way through the final couple of corners. Let's see what the gap is between Fox, who just set fastest lap of the race, and McNeely just crosses the line. He's about 0.3 off the pace and 5 seconds behind your race leader.
Yeah, so purple lap time for James Fox. No real surprise there, as I think this is just going to be one of those races for Fox where you just have to keep it on the road for the rest of the field. Just keep your head down, keep driving, and just worry about your own race for those drivers, because everyone's starting to spread out. A little bit of a battle for fourth between Harper Smith and Miles Hale, but still just a very short heat race here. Only 3 minutes left of this 5-minute plus heat to get things underway for the afternoon group. There you saw James Fox coming across the line. That was actually McKinley coming across the line. Excuse me. James Fox is 8.30 seconds up from the field. He put 2.6 seconds on McKinley that lap. So James Fox definitely one to look out for the rest of the season. And at this pace, potentially one to look out for at the regional and national level if they decide to go there.
Absolutely. Fox continuing on his charge. And McNeely in the Tony Kart, as we see Fox, is he already starting to lap traffic as we speak? I don't know. We'll have to see here in a second. He's approaching a top cart. Unless that can't be Maxwell and Hale. As we'll take a look here as they come across, that could be the possibility of Harper Smith and Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the only real on-track
Hale.
battle we have going on at the moment, isn't it, Taylor, as everyone's starting to fan out. Again, like we were saying with 206 Cadet, that it's early on in the season. A lot of these drivers might be moving up from Kid Kart. They're shaking off the rust. It's some really tricky track conditions. Also in the reverse layout that isn't as run as much as the counterclockwise layout. So the gaps are to be expected at this stage of the season. I can totally see having a lot more battles for the lead later on in the year.
Absolutely, especially when they start learning more about how to get around with these karts as we pick up Diesel Maxwell in the Lando Norris karts, who's closing into the back bumper of Patrick McNeely in the Tony kart, as he is starting to put a little pressure on him for second place.
Yeah, Diesel Maxwell, a driver who's gone well around here in Kid Kart competition, now figuring out the two-cycle side of things on this Micro Swift package. Just a minute to go. Should have about 3-4 so laps as Diesel Maxwell getting past McKinley for that second spot. And Diesel now onto the second box of the podium. Out of turn 10 he goes, and charging towards the old circuit through 11 and across the start-finish stripe. 13.8 seconds is the gap between himself and James Fox. But again, still storyline of this class for the weekend is just going to be A, how dominant James Fox is, but B, just waiting for these drivers to evolve throughout the season so we can see more battling up front.
Absolutely, we see them battling, and keep an eye on this fight for second place as McNeely is starting to pull away further and further. James Fox now just out for a Saturday afternoon drive as he hits his marks around the circuit, continuing to log laps. Should be getting the 2-to-go signal next time by for him, as Miles Hale starts to try to pull away as well from Harper Smith in fifth position, as Diesel Maxwell set the personal best for him. He is still about 0.7 of a second behind your fast time of your race leader, and it's got a lot of work to do. 14.6 seconds.
Yeah, and fair enough to Diesel Maxwell. He's still fairly new to this Micro Swift package, and it's only to be expected that he'll gain time throughout the year. There you see 2 to go for James Fox. He's really leaning on that outside rear tire through there, and that's just the difference and why he is so far ahead. Just have the confidence in that top kart chassis to throw it in, know it will stick, and to control it throughout the corner. So for a micro driver to be sending it that hard into 1 and 2 is pretty impressive, Taylor.
Absolutely impressive indeed here as the field now will continue. But I got to say, James Fox in that top kart has been impressive all weekend long. If it wasn't for the fact of his issue in 206 Cadet, he could have been looking at sweeping every race he started in. So a tough break for him. Hopefully he can recover later on this afternoon and not have an issue for him in his machine.
Yeah, and final lap for James Fox. This is all about just bringing it home at this point. Has a little bit of lap traffic, and that's going to have even more in the final at this rate. As you'll see James Fox coming into view now. It's just in a bit of a top kart sandwich at the moment. There's James, the number 12 top car, with just a few more corners to go. He's been dominant all race, and we expect him to do so in the final and to hopefully make all the laps in the final. But checkered flag is out for the number 12 top car. James Fox takes the win in convincing fashion. Harper Smith will be next across the line, but Harper being a lap down, that confirms them in 5th. Waiting on the final few drivers to cross the line. Diesel Maxwell will be the next to cross. There you see him, 17.7 seconds back in 2nd, then Patrick McNeely and Miles Hale, your top 5 and your unofficial results in Micro Swift.
Well, it's time. Next up on the docket is the Mini Swift category that's about to head out onto the track momentarily. And there they are lined up and ready to go for the action here today for their pre-final event. A couple of the MPG members checking over, making sure they're good to go in their Kart Republics. As there you see the number 10 machine all getting ready, fired up and ready to go for 5 minutes plus 2 laps.
Yeah, some more cadet racing here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. It's a really good track for it. It gets a little bit difficult with the KA competition, but the smaller karts do some good racing around K1 Circuit Whiteland. 11 corners here on the Pro Circuit 3 clockwise layout that we're running for this opening weekend of the Indy Karting Challenge. Drivers swerving left and right as much as they can to try and get tire temp on this very cold day here in Whiteland, Indiana. Maybe not ideal temperatures, Taylor, to start off the season, but you can't complain with the opening weekend for racing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is opening day for a lot of these young future superstars. Some of them are not able to go on the national tour just yet. So this is their kickoff. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out for these young stars as the season progresses. It's 12 rounds. I mean, out of all the club races, I have to say, Nate, this is probably one of the longer championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the our local club at Minnesota has about 10 weekends, and we race both Saturday and Sunday, and I can't find a club that does more racing than that. This is a close second. It's still a lot of racing, though, but as they'll be going into the tram lines to get things going, green flag in the air for Mini Swift for the first time in 2025 for these drivers in the Indy Karting Challenge, and already the front two, Taylor, are starting to break away from the pack, just a couple corners in to this heat race.
As they cross the line, it is going to be Hendrickson, Will Fighting Sure, Lincoln Wiley, Leah Simonelik, Blake Martinez, Miller Rosa, and Christopher Heinzen, who are your 7 karts out on the track. These drivers are going to do battle, but it is Hendrickson who leads the charge, Fighting Sure in his RPG or his MPG Kart Republic machine as they work their way around the circuit is trying to stay closely tucked up behind. Then you have the Fernando Alonso kart of Lincoln Wiley right there closing in as he tries to stay comfortably in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, top three staying with each other for the time being. Lincoln Wiley, uh, one of those drivers that knows Whiteland like the back of his hand, so he should be competitive this season and certainly looking fairly competitive in the early stages of this race. But Kason Hendrickson, no surprise, going fastest last time across the stripe. He's the driver to beat for the time being, the 202 that leads the way here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. Down the long back straightaway into turn 7 they go. It's a hard braking zone for these Mini Swift drivers to get the kart set into the kind of big chicane, we'll call it, of turns 8 and 9, just with how wide the circuit is at this back half of the section. And you get into the old circuit where it narrows so much and it's so incredibly hard to pass, especially going this clockwise direction as they make their way out of turn 4 and into the downhill hairpin of turn 5. It's a tricky circuit this direction, isn't it, Taylor? And then you add all the other factors of it's the first race for the season, it's cold, some drivers are getting used to new packages. It's difficult racing out there for these drivers.
Absolutely, as we keep an eye on this battle here amongst the race leaders as they work their way through, along with a little further back, drivers just trying to negotiate, get themselves up. It's Hendrickson over Fighting Sure by just under 0.2 of a second. There you see them battling it out for position. That is the 10 machine of Fighting Sure right behind, trying to find his way around in that Kart Republic. As they come through, he tries to show the nose right there on Hendrickson, could not make it work as Wiley watches on right behind in 3rd. Simonelli trying to close in on 4th.
Yeah, I believe 2 Kart Republic machines at the front of this field with Hendrickson and Fighting Sure. Still pretty much glued to each other's bumpers, or as much as you can be in 2-cycle competition around here, as Lincoln Wiley's really fallen off of this pack down in 3rd, 1.4 seconds back. But Fighting Sure did set fastest lap time last time across the stripe on his KR machine, as it's actually a Kart Republic 123. Yes, Wiley is on the Alonso kart, but it's manufactured by Kart Republic, so we'll just call it that for the time being. There you see the unmistakable checkered helmet of Lincoln Wiley, currently running in third, as he'll be hoping for a bit more in the final, as 1.4 seconds back isn't something you worry about too much. You have a longer race in the final. You can make a few adjustments to get a tenth or so every lap in the final, so they shouldn't be panicking too much. They'll be into that fight come a few hours.
Absolutely. As 1 minute plus 2 laps to go, there you saw Lincoln Wiley in his Fernando Alonso kart as he works his around the circuit. And here you see Fighting Sure trying to close the gap back in to Case Hendrickson. Not going to work out this time as he just stays right in the toe, but not close enough to try anything right here. As they come out of the final corner, it's still going to be 3 laps to go for your leaders as they rocket away across the start-finish line.
Yeah, still that gap continuing to build. Now it's 2 seconds between Fighting Sure and Lincoln Wiley. Kason Hendrickson is seen pretty calm at the front end of this field. He hasn't given up the lead to Fighting Sure throughout this race. It just seems like Fighting Sure is going to need to find something at the end of this, because he's starting to fall back ever so slightly. It was 2/10 last time across the line. I'm guessing it's going to go to about 3.5, maybe 4 next time, because Fighting Sure doesn't seem like he's got the pace on the back end of the circuit to hold with Kason Hendrickson.
Absolutely. As they come around to get the flags here, it's going to be 2 laps to go for your drivers as Hendrickson puts the pressure and try to see if he can hold on. He's starting to feel it a little bit from Fighting Sure as he tries to find that opening, but so far Fighting Sure really doing what he needs to do to hit his marks and keep up with the pace as they head down the back straightaway. He's got one more attempt to try to make this work, but Hendrickson hitting his marks to stay ahead of the competition. Heading down into the braking zone they go. Wiley quite a ways off from this and is not looking to see if he can close the gap here as they head down the front straightaway for the final time. And it is going to be Hendrickson who will lead the charge once again. He's got a 0.4 of a second lead over Fighting Sure, and Fighting Sure getting a good run out of those corners. He may have something down the back straightaway for Case and Hendrickson.
Just got to nail turn 5 for any shot. I think he did get through 5 pretty well, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get to the back end of Kason Hendrickson, who hasn't put a wheel wrong all race, and it's going to look good for him going into the final later on today. I say that Fighting Sure has found something in turns 7, 8, and 9 on Hendrickson as he is closing up the gap, but it's going to be a little bit too little too late. Checker flag in the air for Kason Hendrickson. He takes the heat race win over Will Fighting Sure and Lincoln Wiley, your unofficial top 3 for Mini Swift, as what was an incredibly race there, Taylor, and give them an hour or so to work on those karts to get a little bit more pace out of them. I think we'll have 3 karts battling for the win later today.
Absolutely, as the rest of the field comes across the line here, and we will get set for our next category, which should be the 206 medium category that's about to head out onto the track. There you see them right there. Heber, as well as also several other drivers also lining up. And this is going to be one I think a lot of people are going to be excited to watch here is your 206 medium category as they get set onto the track. I got to ask you right quick, Nate, who is the one that you think is going to be able to come out on top between these two that we see here on the front row?
I think Braden Heber has shown a lot of pace so far, but if I had to pick, I think the race is going to go to one of the two Bradens, as a little bit of nap time there before heading on track. It's been a long day for McCorkle after running in the morning group as well. But like I was saying, I think one of the two Bradens is going to take this one, Heber or Johnson. Both of them have been incredibly fast. Heber has had the consistency at the front of the field. Johnson hasn't had the day he would have wanted thus far, but he's shown pace throughout. And watching him at Route 66 Sprint Series last year and seeing his results from Indy Karting Challenge in 2024, you can never count out the AMAX driver.
Absolutely. Well, let's give you your starting lineup. It is Evan McCorkadale on the pole position with Braden Heber in second. And third in row 2 is Levi Wilbur, followed by Braden Johnson. In row 3, Logan Lynch, followed by Nicholas Nossman. In row 4 is Nick Patton, followed by Corey Osborne. Row 5 is Andrew Goldman and Gage Justiano. And then Joseph Dirtier did not set a time. He will start in 11th.
So drivers coming around the back section of the track, they'll see the green flag in about a lap's time. So they're just out of the start zone that is before turn 7. Trying to get as much tire temp into those tires as possible. Of course, with the 206 package, not producing as much lap time and as much power as like the KAs will. You really have to work in those tires on this opening lap to get tire temperature into your rubber. So they'll be forming up right before the formation line outside of turn 5, as the rest of the field's going to have to play a little bit of catch up to get to them as they make their way through the banked corner here.
Here they come onto the back straightaway into the starting zone. They will go. And let's see if we can get ourselves a good clean race for 5 minutes plus 2 additional laps. Heber, McCorkadale, Wilbur, Johnson, the ones to watch in this race here for one of your main event classes, the 206 mediums, about to do battle for the first time in heat racing competition. Green flag is out, and away they go. McCorkadale does not get a good jump, but is able to recover on the inside lane. Meanwhile, struggling in the 13 machine is a big issue right there as they gather it back up and continue on. But it will be Heber that will lead us on the opening lap across the line. McCorkadale drops into second. And just as I say that, McCorkadale holds on to the race lead. Heber second, Levi Wilbur in third, Braden Johnson, Logan Lynch, your top 5.
Yeah, Heber not getting the jump he would have wanted on that outside lane going into turn 7. He is runner-up as things stand. Then Levi Wilbur and Braden Johnson, your front 4 drivers, as Johnson already has a little bit of a gap that he's got to close down on to get to this front 2. Same can be said for Levi Wilbur. It just seems like those two out in front between McCorkadale and Heber had such a good jump that it was just incredibly difficult for the drivers behind to hold with them on that opening lap. McCorkadale going purple that time across the stripe. 43.3 is the current time to beat in this heat race, as Braden Heber looking a little bit to the right of McCorkadale into 5. Thought about a move there, but thinking better of it. Is further back, Braden Johnson losing a spot to Logan Lynch, the number 12 kart, making his way up into 4th. There you can see that battle for the 4th spot, as Lynch going defensive on the first couple of laps here for the 4th spot. Braden Johnson not going to like that too much. Trying to get by, drops a tire, does Braden Johnson. And like we were saying at the start of this race, Taylor, Johnson has had the pace throughout this day here for the opener of the IKC, but still just hasn't had the luck or the pace to get through the field, that is.
Absolutely, as here we watch on McCorkadale and Heber are about to do battle. They have left Levi Wilbur in the dust, and then fourth on back is a good little fight with 5 karts in the hunt. But I got to say, McCorkadale has really been very strong with showing the defense here and keeping Heber behind. Granted, Heber could be just taking his time, not pushing the envelope, and wait till the right time towards the end of this race to have a shot of taking over the race lead. As we watch a little further back, these drivers here battling it out. McCorkadale comes across the line, still ahead, setting the fastest lap of the race as Lynch holds on to that group behind in 4th on back. Nossman, Corey Osborne, and Johnson, as Braden Johnson, one driver who we thought would be doing well, is struggling in 7th position.
Yeah, unfortunate for Braden, but still has a final later on in the day to make that up. It's really a very closely contested pack for the 4th spot is going on here. The leaders have really checked out from each other. Not a whole lot happening up there. McCorkadale leads as Johnson up and over the curb in turn 9. Almost gets that spot away from, I believe that was Osborne in front, but unable to. So Braden Johnson now going back down to 8th now as we take a look back at our leaders of McCorkadale and Braden Heber, your front two. Levi Wilbur is in his own little zip code at the moment. He's got 2.7 seconds to the driver in front and about 5 seconds to the driver behind. So it's just going to be a matter of him making it to the checkered flag at this rate, Taylor, as we have about a minute and a quarter to go as they'll be making their way onto the start-finish straight shortly.
Absolutely, as we keep an eye on that across the line here and see who comes on here across the line. McCorkadale still holds strong for the moment. Heber set fastest lap of the race on lap 4, so we'll see how this plays out. Heber starting to pressure a little bit. There's probably going to be about 4 laps to go for them as they come out of the hairpin over towards the bank corner and back straightaway. Wilbur still in decent position in case these two start to really get at it later on. And here comes Heber showing the nose to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side, backs up and decides to drop back into line as they come out through turn 7, 8, and 9. And as they approach turn number 10, he's going to stay tucked up behind that McCorkadale machine as they come across the line. 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Heber might not want to show his cards this early in the day. Of course, still got a few laps to go in this heat, and then you have all of the finals, so wouldn't be surprised if Heber's just laying low and knows where he can get McCorkadale and is A-okay with a second place starting position for the final. Of course, it's a little risky with holding around the outside in turn 7. Usually in the heat of summer, you can pretty easily hold the outside around most of these corners in the new section, but with it being as cold as it is and drivers slipping and sliding left and right, it might be a bit more of a risky strategy if that's what Heber's going for. As they'll cross the stripe, sticks in the air, 2 to go, this time by McCorkadale leads and sets fast time.
Absolutely. 2 laps to go now for your leaders as McCorkadale still holds strong. Heber sits comfortably as Nicholas Nossman gets around Logan Lynch for the 4th spot. So good run for him right now. Wilbur, there you see him. He's in the same shot, but just not close enough to try anything. As see what happens here. Does Heber go on the attack? Does he stay tucked up? Going to stay behind for the moment. Probably try something on the last lap. We'll know for sure when they head down the back straightaway for the final time. But so far, so good for McCorkadale as he leads them down to take the white flag here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. Across the line, white flag in the air, and McCorkadale knows it's go time for him to hold on to this position. They crest over the curbing a little bit right there and continue to do battle for position as Nossman in 4th is holding strong against a mob of drivers behind him. But McCorkadale continues to hold strong heading down the back straightaway. This is where Heber could make the attempt to pass for the race lead. Does he do so? Pulls out a little bit. Side by side, he shows the nose. Thinks better of it. He is going to slot back into 2nd. He knows he's got a finals to go out there and win, but he's going to still put a little pressure on him as they come out of the final corner, turn number 10, and heading down the front straightaway across the line. It will be McCorkadale winning against Braden Heber. Levi Wilbur will come home in 3rd. The question is going to be, what's Nossman, Lynch, and Osborne going to do as here they come across the start-finish line. There you see them, Nossman and Lynch rounding out your top 5. And Braden Johnson takes it behind the wall again.
Yeah, it's not been a great day for Braden Johnson or the AMAX crew. They got a lot to find in the final later on today, but that is it for 206 Heat Racing for the day. We'll be moving on to KA100 Junior, and it is 2 rivals here at Whiteland race at K1 Circuit Whiteland doing a little bit of rock, paper, scissors. Not only the drivers, but the teams as well. Top Kart and MPG are based out of here at Whiteland as those two are ready to go. Hopefully a bit of friendly competition between the two of them as, like we just saw, a little bit of fun they're having on the grid.
Do you think whoever had the most wins in rock, paper, scissors means whoever gets to go into turn 1 the best?
Absolutely. That would be my deal if I'm starting next side by side with someone.
It's like, all right, let's see. Whoever wins this, I'll let you in. If not, I'll let you let me in. So here is your starting lineup. It is Ryan Mort and Mason Galen on the front row. Row 2, we will see AJ Stoner along with Andrew Avelos. Row 3 will be Ben Hawhey and Evan Patton. Row 4 is Lucien Lazier and Case Ref. And rounding out your 9-cart field is Mason Ward.
A lot of talent in those front couple of rows. Seen a lot of them do or have some good results at regional and national levels, so bit of a treat to see them here running at the club level for the Indy Karting Challenge. Again, this is round 1 of many in 2025, the season opener for these guys, as K Jr. is making their way around. We'll be getting the green flag next time so we can get these guys underway and ready to go for their heat race that looking forward to. It was close in qualifying, Taylor, and Ryan Mort definitely seemed like he had the edge on the rest of the field, but a lot can happen in these heat races, and we'll have to see what happens in a few laps time as we start to get formed up.
Absolutely. They'll head down the back straightaway into the staging lanes. They will go a little bit too fast, I got to say. Hopefully they can slow it down before they get into the staging lane officially. And green flag is out. And already we see Ryan Mort checking out to the race lead. Stoner will follow in second, while Mason Galen in the top card slots back to P3. He's got help, though, from Andrew Alavelos, who is right there in fourth as they rocket across the start-finish line to kick off the next 5 minutes plus 2 laps. Lucien Lazier in the new gen car is right there behind in fifth as he tries to work his way around the circuit. And we'll see who comes out on top here as they come snaking their way up through the hairpin and over to the bank corner.
AJ Stoner did not have a good run out of turn 5, getting the cart and chassis all bound up on exit. That's going to allow Ryan Mort to put a nose in, but not able to get by, as it is AMAX, MPG, and Top Kart USA at the front of this field. How many times have we said that here at Whiteland, and just today alone, as they are all on top of each other heading into the first couple of corners. Still, though, AJ Stoner continuing to lead at the opening stage of this race. Galen now feeling the pressure from Velos in that 4th spot, as the lead pack is actually quite big for a KA junior race. Happy to see that, especially at the club level, everyone right there on each other. But Ryan Mort, not wanting to stay behind AJ Stoner for too long, retakes the race lead, as AJ Stoner now sending it back up the inside. Here comes Galen down the front straightaway. Stoner's going to lead them across the stripe, and Ryan Mort might lose another position to Averos. Slots back into 3rd, and AJ Stoner back to the lead of this race.
Here they come, jetting down over towards the hairpin right now. There you see the new gen machine of Lazier trying to get up to the back bumper of Evan Patton in 5th with his Lando Norris kart, as the LN kart machine right there under the AMAX banner of AJ Stoner still holding strong. The top kart of Mason Galen now putting the pressure all over the back bumper in the top kart. And then, of course, the MPG Kart Republic of Ryan Mort sits in 3rd and starting to fall back just a little bit as they come across the line at 39.2 for Stoner as he tries to take charge in this KA junior category.
Yeah, he's not really able to break away from the rest of the pack, which I'm a little interested to see, or surprised to see, that this KA race is probably the closest battle for the lead we've seen all day long, as we have Ryan Mort up the inside of Galen, gets that move done and move the MPG Motorsports man up into 3rd. Galen goes around. I think that was between Galen and Avelos, as they're going to try to get back on track. That is beached for Avelos. Yeah, that's not getting back on track, at least in a competitive position.
Yeah, that's going to cost him. And I think for Galen, he is going to be out of the race. Heartbreak there, as there was contact. They're going to try to get his kart back on the track. But that's in a peculiar area right here, because here comes the rest of the leaders now as they come snaking their way over towards this section. Let's see what happened. Galen not too happy regarding the situation as he will go a lap down. But for Stoner and Mort, they're going to continue on with their battle for the race lead as AJ Stoner holds strong. Mort, though, putting a little pressure on him. The Kart Republic versus the Lando Norris Kart as they head down the short chute over towards the hairpin. Mort being a little bit patient, not wanting to push the envelope nor make contact like what happened to Galen and Avelos as they head up the banking and head down the back straightaway.
And Mort looked like he was closer to Stoner than what he was. That was a major moment from AJ Stoner, wasn't it, Taylor? That was surprising that he kept that under him. But just talking a little bit about the drivers that went off at other tracks like Speed Sports or Newcastle, and this is where Whiteland gets interesting. You can drop a tire, you can have a major off, and you can still be in that race just with the size of the track. But here at Whiteland, especially with the drop off between the asphalt and the grass, and these are 38-second lap times. By the time you get out of the kart, get yourself situated, refire it, you're going to be almost over half a lap back, and it's almost just a race over if you even drop a tire or go all four off here.
Absolutely, as the field works their way around the circuit and gets themselves situated. Here they come out of the corner, down the back front straightaway, and Mort and Stoner still will hold on. 3 laps to go. Lando Norris Kart of Stoner doing a great job of just hitting his marks, not putting any pressure or losing focus, but Mort is just now starting to poke and prod, trying to see if he can find a weakness in the chainmail, and he shows the nose almost right there, coming out of the hairpin before climbing the banking, but not close enough to get to the inside, and now here's his shot down the back straightaway. Does he try it again? Not able to do so as they come around to get the 2 laps to go signal this time by.
Yeah, it's going to be close between Stoner and Mort as 2 drivers at the top of their game, especially in Midwestern competition. If you see them on the entry list, you know they're going to be fighting for wins, and they are doing exactly that today. And it's only the heat race. We got a longer final later on that I'm sure everyone watching and on the fence line will be looking forward to. Stoner again, just sliding the rear end a bit too much out of turn 5. It's going to allow Ryan Moore to potentially get a run on that 812 machine down the back straightaway into turn 7. And there is the pass for the lead, Taylor. And it's going to be 1 to go next time across the stripe to determine who gets to see the green first and lead them to the green in the final. But it's going to be close. White flag in the air as they go side by side across the line.
Mort tried to see if he can go on the defensive, but with these 2 battling, that's going to bring in Evan Patton. So we're about to have a 3-horse race for the race lead here. Patton is making a charge up through the hairpin as they climb the banking. Lazier right there in the hunt as well if these 3 get a little bit too aggressive. Down the back straightaway, there you see side by side. Mort trying to go on the defensive, but can't. Stoner sends it in. Can't quite make it work. He'll try to go back on the attack here through these final couple of corners. Puts the bumper as he tries to show the nose in the final corner, out of turn number 10 and 11, across the line, give the win to MPG and Kart Republic for Ryan Mort. AJ Stoner second, Patton and Lazier in third and fourth, Mason Ward, Ben Hawhey, Case Reef, rounding out your 7 kart field of front runners. And then, of course, for Avelos and Galen out of contention. They're going to have to try again later on in the finals.
Yeah, and AJ Stoner just seemed like he wasn't too happy with that kart throughout the race. The rear just sliding a lot more than he would have liked, or that at least was quick. If the track heats up throughout the day, that might be the setup to go on, but I'd be surprised if the AMAX crew doesn't go to work on that kart to try and tighten up the rear end. But there you can see AJ Lund, Eli Fox ready to go and leading the KA Senior Master Field to the green in just a few short moments here.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, But I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop akr.com.
It's time to give you your starting lineup for today's action. The KA Masters and KA Seniors Heat Race. It is going to be Elijah Fox on the front row with AJ Lund, Clay Robbins along with Raider Santos in row number 2. Row 3, Blake Finley and Masia Galen, followed by Hudson Potter and Kyle Landon. Row 5 is Jedediah Jonas in the KA Senior. As trouble for one driver in the number 2 machine. Kyle Landon having
Kyle
issues
Landon.
there.
Yep. It's on one of the Pantano chassis too, so that's unfortunate way to start off your day, isn't it, Taylor? It's not the first time we've seen people pull off on the opening lap, so going to be a long final ahead for him later on in the day.
Absolutely, and then of course it's Kevin Simonellik on the pole with Joshua Nelson in the KA Masters. It's time to go heat racing here once again for the final time of the day before we get set for finals this afternoon. Heading down into the starting grid, and away they will go. Nope, we got to go around one more time to wait on the number 2 machine, who is finally going to get up and going to rejoin the field.
I think it was a chain that came off because he was working underneath the chain guard on the right side of that cart. So for him to get, if it was a chain, for him to get that back on the sprocket so quickly is kudos to him to get Kyle Landon back into the race. Of course, it's not going to be as tight or as good as he's going to want that on to the chassis. So probably going to have to avoid a few curbs throughout this heat race, but it's a short enough race to where I don't think he'll have to worry about it too much.
No, I have to agree with that. So we'll see what happens here as he lets everyone know, hey, go on by me. We got to get going. Let's try this again. Second time's the charm as they now enter into the tram lines to get set for the heat race here. KA Seniors, KA Masters. We do get the green flag. In trouble once again for the number 2 of Kyle Landon. Pulls off the track once again. His day is done as the field now continues on to race for the race lead. Fox, Lund, Robbins, and Santos across the line. And Elijah Fox, let's see, does he lead the opening lap? Yes, he does. As him, along with AJ Lund, battle for the race lead.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this throughout this race as there is Kyle Landon out for the second time this race. And before we even took the green, he was off track twice. So not the way he would have wanted to start his race, but the way to start a race is AJ Lund taking the lead away from Eli Fox there into turn 7. Top Kart now back at the front of the field over the Haas chassis with Eli Fox behind the wheel. These two are going to be going at it for the entirety of the season to try and get the crown for KA Senior, making their way through turns 3 and 4 and then into the hairpin of 5. A little bit of a gap between the two of them. You can probably throw about a kart length in between them. And then in third, Clay Robbins is still in that fight as well for the race win.
Big slide right there for the driver of AJ Lund in the top cart as he gathers it back up. And then you have Elijah Fox trying to put the pressure on. And then you have a couple of more top carts a little further back for 5th and 6th area as they will continue to do battle. 3.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go as Lund is trying to see if he can start to pull away from Elijah Fox here pretty soon. And so far it seems to be working out. He's pulled out by a handful as we pick up the top cart coming up through the field, Clay Robbins, as he works his way over to the banking.
Yeah, AJ Lund has been strong on the opening stages of this race so far. There you see Ryder Santos, one of the AMAX drivers, in a little bit of a Top Kart sandwich for the time being. His OTK machine finding him down in 5th at the moment. Of course, Kyle Landon populating at the top of the scoring pylon. Just a little bit of a error on timing and scoring, so move everyone up one spot. Is there you see it updating. AJ Lund leading the way over Eli Fox. Is more battling going on further back. Again, Raider Santos holding off Hudson Porter. That is the number 18 Top Kart is in front of Raider. Blake Finley, the number 8 Top Kart, as Santos is going to go down a spot and move Hudson Porter up into 6th.
Good pass right there by Hudson Porter to move on as they come across the line. 2 minutes plus 2 laps to go for them, as we see here. And so far for the driver of AJ Lund, he is putting on that run that he needs to hold strong in the Top Kart as they come out of the bank. And here comes Elijah Fox getting a good run as well. He's going to get a good run down the back straightaway. I have a feeling he may try to set something up heading down into this corner right here. Nope, stays tucked up behind the driver of AJ Lund, not wanting to push the envelope here as they come through the S's and then over to turn 10.
Yeah, Fox is a smart driver. I don't think he's going to be showing his cards this early in the day, especially with about 4 or 5 laps to go in this heat race. Still, seems like AJ Lund is able to get through the middle section of the track. That's turns 1 to 4. Very tight and technical sector of this K1 Circuit Whiteland. A lot better than Fox is able to, but it seems like Eli Fox has a better motor going down to 7. A little bit of a bump from Fox, who's trailing Lund pretty much from the word go, or at least a couple laps ago when AJ Lund was able to take the lead away from the 01 Haas kart. Across the timing and scoring line, yet again, no one improving on their lap times of this front two. Eli Fox seems like that kart is binding up mid-corner in turn 3 and not able to get the punch off that he would have wanted. Is still that little kart length bubble continues to form in between Fox and Lund.
Yeah, Fox is trying just to be a little bit patient, coming to about 3 laps to go next time by for your leaders as they work their way over towards turn number 10. A little bit of lap traffic by the looks of it coming up. No changes in your KA Masters. Nelson was able to get around Simonelli for the pole position and lead on the charge. He has about a 1.3 second advantage as Robbins drops back to P4.
Yeah, Robbins dropping back is... Not a whole lot has been happening further back from the lead pack. There's been a couple passes here and there, but we've just been watching this battle for the lead. Eli Fox takes it back from AJ Lund, who tried to go side by side into turn 8, backed out of it, as coming across the start-finish line. 2 laps to go for Eli Fox to try and take this heat race victory. Through turns 1 and 2 they go. I'll watch him in turn 3. He just doesn't get the run that AJ Lund does on the mid-corner and exit out of turns 3 and 4. So we'll see if that's able to help Lund down this long back straightaway into turn 7. Lund's going to hold behind. You are right, Taylor. We're going to have lap traffic to deal with here on the final lap. We'll see if Eli Fox can hold it off from AJ Lund.
Here they come across the front straightaway for the final time in your heat race. It is going to be Fox versus Lund. Lund trying to put a little bit more pressure on him as they work their way through this couple of corners in the opening lap. And as they head down into the hairpin, there you see the lap car machine of Jedediah Jonas about to go a lap down. Jonas hopefully will give way quickly to not impede upon this battle for the race lead. Heading down into the braking zone, what will we see our 2 leaders do? Nothing happening yet. Let's see what happens heading over to turn 10. Oh, contact between Lund as well as Fox. Fox try to go on the defensive. Lund try to go around one position, but to no avail. It will go to none other than Eli Fox to take the win. Lund in second position. Finley, Robbins, and Hudson Porter, your top 5 finishers. Santos 6. Galen should be coming around, and trouble right there for the 18 of of Potter right there, who looped it around heading into the corner.
Yeah, not how you want to finish a race for Potter, but at least you got to cross the line before you put it in a barrier. Probably just a close finish between him and another driver, or just outbraking himself at the end there. So unfortunate for him, but hopefully his kart and him are okay and ready to go for the 10-minute plus 2-lap main event here coming up.
With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for the main events here at the Indy Karting Challenge live on Kart Chaser.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the two-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man. So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com? They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep.
gloves,
Yep.
rib protectors.
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney, Turney in the dirt.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with two classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Ready to elevate your racing game? Introducing Apex, your 24/7 personal karting coach. Apex is your ultimate racing companion. Get expert advice anytime, anywhere. From setup tips to mental strategies, Apex has you covered. Fine-tune your car for peak performance. Get personalized advice on adjustments like tire pressure and chassis settings. Apex helps you master the track, from overtaking strategies to wet weather driving techniques, and to resilience to perform under pressure. Apex keeps you focused, confident, and race ready.
Using Apex is simple. Sign up, ask your question, and receive instant advice from top-tier coaches. With Apex, your personal karting coach, you're never alone. Get instant expert advice on everything from setup to technique. Unlock your full potential with Apex. Your journey to victory starts here. Happy racing.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place, and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop akr.com.
K1 Circuit.
Well, it is that time of the day now where we get ready to give out some more trophies as we get set for the Indy Karting Challenge main events of the afternoon session. Taylor Burris here along with Nate Dean as we get set for our micros, minis, along with our 206 medium, KA junior, and the KA senior and masters division about to head out onto the track. And Nate, it's going to be an exciting one here from start to finish. We had a great morning session, even after a little bit of a delay due to the fact of some wet conditions. But we're now back at it. The sun is shining. Temperatures are bumping up a little bit, just shy of 50 degrees out there. So it's going to be one exciting race from start to finish as we get set to round out race 1 of the 2025 Indy Karting Challenge.
Yeah, still some cold conditions here for these IKC drivers. The Micro Swift class wasn't the most competitive that we saw throughout the day, as we've had some incredible racing in the morning groups, with most of the 206 classes being run then. But this time around, most of the IAME engines are racing in the afternoon groups. Like you see here, we have the Micro Swift drivers ready to go on grid to be the next class out and waiting for those gates to open. Mini Swift will follow, and then you have likes of KA Junior, KA Senior Masters, and then the final 206 category on the day, like you were saying, Taylor, 206 Medium, which is definitely one to watch and to look out for. All of them should be fun to watch as the micros are eagerly waiting for those gates to swing wide open so they can get on track for their main event.
And as they do so, let's go ahead. As soon as they open the gate, we'll then give you your starting lineup for today's racing action here at the beautiful K1 Circuit in Whiteland Park as they get ready to go out onto the track. Waiting for official results and for them to also open up the gates to release these drivers. As they do so, there they go. And as they do so, we're going to give you your starting lineup for the Micro Finals grid here today. It is going to be James Fox on the pole position, followed by Diesel Maxwell. Then it's going to be Patrick McNeely, followed by Miles Hale and Harper Smith. Your 5 cards for 10 minutes plus 2 laps.
Yeah, as they'll be making their way around for their final formation lap of the day. Everyone still right on there with each other, so not having, hopefully, won't have to wait up outside of the formation line at turn 5. James Fox, as you can see there, the driver to beat all day in these cadet competitions. He almost had the win in 206 cadet. Most was looking like he would get it, but a engine or kart failure on the first lap forced him out of competition. He's going to hope not to have that happen in Micro Swift and to at least get one win on the day, because certainly Taylor, he has deserved it with the pace he's shown.
Absolutely he has, and he's going to have a lot of work to do, so they're going to give her one more lap around the circuit before turning them loose here. So doubled up and ready to go. And so far, but yeah, Fox is definitely looking, hopefully, for a clean start, no issues whatsoever, and we can get him a victory on the tally here. McNeely won, of course, earlier today in the 206 cadet category. Struggled a little bit in qualifying for the Micro Swifts, so curious to see if he can find a way to recover and maybe have a shot of a win or be in contention. But for Diesel Maxwell, he is definitely one to keep an eye on here in the finals, should something happen to James Fox.
Yeah, Diesel's just going to have to keep it on track and focus on his own race. Fox might be a little bit too quick for Diesel this time around for him to try and get the win on pure pace alone. So for Diesel, it's just making sure you keep it on track, because they're going into the tram lines at a fair rate of speed here, Taylor, and I think we'll get the green flag on this second attempt. We will. We are racing for finals in the afternoon group. Fox out to an early lead that we saw it be about 2.7 seconds when they crossed the line at the opening lap of the heat race. We'll see what it is this time around. Switching to the start finish line camera, it's only 1.1 seconds. We say only 1.1 because it was 2.7 last time, but still an impressive first half a lap for James Fox as he makes his way out of the turn 5 hairpin.
McNeely got ahead to second place at the moment. Everyone's starting to spread back out. There you see McNeely in the Tony Kart, then Diesel Maxwell right behind in third as we pick up the top cart of James Fox heading down the back straightaway. So far, it's just going to be for James Fox. Hopefully nothing breaks. Hopefully he just stays on the gray pavement and not make any mistakes to come out on the top step of the podium here at the K1 Circuit in Whiteland as they come across the front straightaway to put another lap on the board. Fox sets fastest lap by over a second and a half here for between him and McNeely. Then you have Maxwell, Hale, Harper Smith. Going to be in one of those days where it's just going to be learning about the track, learning about the kart to be able to hopefully improve going into the second round in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, James Fox's job this race here is to make our jobs as hard as possible, to give us nothing to talk about for him apart from pure pace alone that he's been showing all day. Just has to stay consistent for the next 8 minutes and 2 laps to try and get on the top step of the podium, which of course we know he can do. It's just having that little doubt in the back of your mind from what happened in the cadet race surely will get to you, and it'll be hard to try and shake that. As you see McNeely there, the 5:38 on track, set a personal best last time across the stripe, and is currently running second, 3.8 seconds off of James Fox. So it's not as dominant of a start for James Fox as we had seen in the 2 cadet races and in the heat race for micro earlier on today, but still. Only being on lap 2, 3.8 seconds out in front is a comfortable margin for James Fox at this stage of the race.
It really is, and we'll keep track to see if anyone's able to improve as they cross the line. How about McNeely going personal best? Same thing with Diesel Maxwell, personal best. So there is some improvement. We could see a good battle happening between McNeely and Maxwell possibly here in the closing stages of the race. I'm not saying right now. They're still separated by about 2 seconds as Harper Smith does a personal best as well. So we'll give a little round of applause for those to just make progressive improvements on their lap times in this race.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about at the micro level, especially at club racing, is just making those small improvements week in and week out to try and build yourself as a driver and to build those skills of not just finding outright speed, but having confidence in the kart, having the consistency to make it through a main event, are all just keys to making it through these races and what the club level is for here in American karting. Diesel Maxwell absolutely sending it through turn 5 there. Not sure how he found the grip through 5, which is a downhill hairpin. Kind of have to take it a little bit easier than going the opposite direction, obviously, because it's on camber and uphill. So for a lot of the 206 drivers running the counterclockwise direction, that corner is almost flat out in some series. Now you have to kind of feather it a little bit to get the kart to turn in, as James Fox doesn't seem to be having any issues with the kart not wanting to turn in, going purple last time by across the stripe. It's a 43.2 for him. That is 0.6 quicker last lap than what McNeely did at a 43.9. But still, for McNeely to be in the same second bracket as James Fox and ultimately a little over half a second back isn't too bad for McNeely, as we hope to see him further up the field later on in the season.
Absolutely, and we'll keep track of that here. And McNeely hopefully will be able to take some information, learn what he needs to do. I mean, he's already on a great stop for the 206 cadets, but just learn a little bit what can he do. And in a couple of weeks' time, when we return for race 2, he'll be back and be able to put another good fight in chance to go up against James Fox in both the micro and 206 cadet category, as we keep an eye on watching James Fox in his top kart, looking to pick up another win here today. And I have to say, at the end of the day, I'm kind of curious to see who has the most wins overall so far amongst the big 3 of Top Kart, along with AMAX, as well as also MPG, as already Fox catching the tail end of the field of Harper Smith, his Top Kart teammate, who will put him a lap down, 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
Yeah, just gotta be consistent for Fox when getting past these drivers. No need to make any late dive bomb moves, as it looks like the kart that he just got past of Harper Smith is stopped at the apex of turn 5. So we'll see if they get back going again. But yeah, you can see there 19 of Harper Smith stopped on the curb. Not sure what's going on there, but officials will retrieve that kart and get it off track if necessary. Unfortunate to see potential DNF to end their day. Obviously, not how you want to start off a season for sure, Taylor. Is still race of attrition like we've seen in these cadet classes and especially in micro in this final.
Absolutely a tough break right there. And as we watch James Fox continue his charge through the field, he will continue to log laps. He currently has a 6.7 second advantage. Then you got to go another 6 seconds back to Diesel Maxwell and then Miles Hale, who is still about to cross the line here. He should be coming up now as he crosses the line. He's 39 seconds back, so he's about to go a lap down here pretty soon, as Harper Smith still out on track as well, already 1 lap behind the competition. McNeely improving on his lap time. He picked up 2 points.
Yeah, McNeely starting to figure it out there and actually got into closed down the time between themselves and Fox. So that's interesting to see, as you know, at qualifying at the start of this afternoon group, it seemed like Fox was just not going to be able to be touched all day long. And now McNeely's starting to find some pace in that kart, starting to get a little more confident, a little bit more comfortable in the driver's seat, which is obviously great to see. But James Fox still the driver to beat at the moment, just wheeling it through turns 1 and 2. Has more confidence in his ability and in the kart than anyone else on track at the moment. Is more lap traffic for James Fox to deal with.
Yeah, Fox just ran his slowest lap of the race by getting around some lap traffic of Miles Hale, so that's going to put him a lap down here momentarily. So a tough break there, which allows Patrick McNeely to not really gain any ground that time, because he also ran a second off the pace as well with one of his slowest laps. So McNeely is now starting to not go in the right direction, as just as I say that, Fox gets back where he left off with a 45.5, as well as he works his way around the circuit. 3 cars left on the lead lap, and McNeely starting to taper off a little bit with his lap times.
Yeah, McNeely's just going to have to work on consistency, really, for him. He's able to put down a fairly consistent lap every once in a while, but just to be able to do that lap after lap like James Fox is on that number 12 top kart that you can see on screen. It's just one of those learning things that they'll have to evolve throughout the season to just build that muscle that is consistency. About a minute to go on the timer, and then we'll add 2 laps to that. So I think we'll have about 3 laps to go at the line. James Fox should get there before the timer runs out. So just 3 more to go for James Fox next time he comes across the timing and scoring beacon to try and get himself onto the top step. He's got a 10-second gap to himself and Patrick McNeely in second, and then Diesel Maxwell currently running 17 seconds back in the 3rd spot.
It's all about just hitting your marks here, not making any issues. 20 seconds on the clock as we wait for our race leader, James Fox, to come across the line. There he is. 3 laps to go, 10 seconds on the clock, plus the 2 laps. And he is just out for a Saturday afternoon drive, looking to capitalize after having an issue in 206 cadets, to come back out, get back on the horse, and drive in a different category, in the micro Swift category, and absolutely dominate it. Gets the pole, gets the heat race win, and now is looking to take home a victory in the finals here today for your micro category as he works his way through. Should be getting the 2 to go signal this time by.
Yeah, it should be 2 to go this time by for James Fox. In between the micro category, what we'll see in mini and the drivers that we saw competing earlier on in the day in the cadet and sportsman division for those Top Kart drivers just shows how strong this cadet chassis is, the Top Kart manufacturer. You've seen Daniel Guerra being so confident in his chassis in the sportsman the sportsman side of things earlier on in the morning, being able to cut his way through a field as easy as you like. So again, nice to see Top Kart at the pointy end of the field where they belong. There'll be white flag in the air this time for Fox to try and finally get that race win that he wanted and was taken away earlier this morning.
And he is on a charge once again. He has stretched out that race lead once again ahead of Patrick McNeely as McNeely comes across the line by 15 seconds. Blistering around the circuit. Had already put 2 karts a lap down, if not more, as he works down the back straightaway for the final time. Top Kart, as well as James Fox, looking to take home the win here today, and will do so in the Micro Swift category. James Fox, your winner here today. Celebration in the air, a fist bump, as he is excited about his way to kick off and have a good recovery drive after his 2:06 race this morning.
Yeah, and good day for James Fox at the end of it. At least he'll have something to smile about on the way back home. He'll still want to try and do the double next time he's back on track for the Indy Karting Challenge, but as the rest of the field come across the line, you can see there your unofficial results from the main event for Micro Swift. So you can see those 5 drivers. You can pick out your favorite, but we'll be moving on to Mini Swift here shortly. The second of the 2 classes utilizing this IAME Swift engine package. This is for the older drivers of the 2, and there you can see our Mini Swift drivers getting set and ready to go for their main event.
And with that, we'll go ahead and give you your starting lineup on the front row. It's Kaysen Hendrickson along with Will Fightingsure as they work their way in row 1. Row 2, we'll see Lincoln Wiley and Liat Simonellik. Row 3, Blake Martinez and Miller Russa. And row 4 is Christopher Heinzen, rounding out your field of karts. 7 karts taking through as Lincoln Wiley is stuck on the track a little bit there, or on the grid with his Fernando Alonso kart. Waiting for him to come out on track. Still have not seen him. I'm curious, is there a problem there for the number 44 machine or the 38 machine? Lincoln Wiley trying to get fired up. Not able to do so just yet.
Wiley's on track, so this is a different driver.
This is Blake
Unfortunate to
Martinez.
see. Yeah, Martinez finally getting going, so that's good to see, but and stopping, I think waiting for the field, which is the smart thing to do there from this young driver to have a head on him to realize that. But we're going to be getting set to go green in a class that we saw 2 drivers battling for the win, and potentially Lincoln Wiley, if he can or did find pace in that kart over the short break. Taylor, this should be a fun one to watch. Even though you don't have a lot of karts in it, you still have a high level of competition on the track now.
It's not always the quantity of karts, it's the quality of drivers as they work their way into the staging lane, in the tram lines, lined up, double file, green flag is out. We're racing here for your Mini Swift division, and they already start to jockey around for position as Hendrickson, Wiley, Fightingsure, all battling it out for the top spot here as they come out of turn number 10 across the line, and away they go around, and Hendrickson will lead on the opening lap. Fightingsure and Wiley, second and third. Simonellik, Heinzen, Rosa, and Martinez, your 7.
Battling it out here through turns 3 and 4. Kaysen Hendrickson holding the lead over Fightingsure in that second spot. Lincoln Wiley tried to make it 3 wide off the opening corner. Didn't quite work out. Had to jump onto the curb to avoid any sort of collision, but for the time being, Wiley seems like he might have the pace to hold on to the back end of Fightingsure in that second spot, as it is still like it was in the heat race. Kart Republic 1, 2, 3. So you see them coming across the line there through turns 1 and 2, you can see the drivers really leaning on that left rear to grip and to get them around the corner. It seems like that's the point of the circuit where Lincoln Wiley isn't too confident or doesn't have the pace compared to Hendrickson fighting sure out in front, that he just loses a couple tenths compared to those guys through there, and that could be his Achilles heel for this final.
Seems like to be the case here. And I got to ask, Nate, you were mentioning about leaning on that left rear. You got to be careful with how much you do lean on that, because that could cause possibly a little bit of problems. Maybe not this early on, but late in the going, where you could lose some grip quite well, especially through this section of the circuit as we watch Fighting Sure and Hendrickson battle for the race lead.
Yeah, I mean, you can heat it. If you continue to do that lap after lap and the setup doesn't really call for it, you can start to really heat up that tire and just have it either lock down later in the run and really just have it not be a very enjoyable experience to drive later on in the race. So yes, you can do it in the opening couple of laps. Tires might be cold at this point, but if he continues to do it throughout the race, might become a bit of an issue for Hendrickson out in the lead.
Absolutely, as Hendrickson does set fastest lap of the race last time by. Fighting Sure a little bit further back, about half a second. Lincoln Wiley sits comfortable in the third spot, while Simonellic, along with Christopher Heinzen, are just separated by a little bit from each of themselves. Everyone kind of in their own zip code outside of the top three, but this is the battle to watch. Your top three of Hendrickson, Fighting Sure, and Wiley as they head into turn 7. 8 and 9 as they continue to do battle. We'll watch and keep an eye on just top three for a really good fight. 7 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Lincoln Wiley is starting to drop back a little bit, so he's going to need Hendrickson and Fighting Sure to really go at it at the tail end of this race if he wants to stay in it. That being said, though, P3 for Lincoln Wiley would be a good result for him to stand on the podium and a good way to start off the 2025 IKC season. Making their way onto the back straight yet again, still a bubble between the front two of about 2.5 kart lengths between those drivers. This case in Hendrickson has just been so dominant from the word go, hasn't he, Taylor? As Fighting Sure is a driver of the caliber that's able to get to the back end of Hendrickson. It's just Kaysen has been so quick on the opening portion of this lap as he goes purple yet again.
Absolutely, as he does so here. We'll watch on Hendrickson how he'd be able to hold on. Of course, with these Miami Swift engines, a lot more power compared to the cadet karts that we saw in the 206 Briggs & Stratton, but also it means that it's a lot less draft dependent compared to the 206 where you have to keep momentum. It's all about making sure you hit your marks lap after lap, and if you even do make a small mistake, you can be able to get it back wound up, but still be careful with where you lose place on certain points of this track.
Yeah, absolutely. It brings a new challenge to this cadet racing where you still have to be smooth, you still have to hit your marks in both classes, but in the Mini, you're able to power out of it a little bit more than you would be in the Briggs & Stratton cadet or sportsman categories, but still just as hard to drive to get these for these drivers to be able to do what you want. As Hendrickson seems to be doing that quite well, but it seems like Fighting Sure is doing it even better. Last time around, it was purple and the fastest driver on track. Wouldn't be surprised to see him do it again. He does, a 41.0 for Fighting Sure, as that is now down to less than a tenth of a second between the front two, but 1.7 back. Lincoln Wiley has fallen off the pace of these leaders, and we might be able to see Fighting Sure go for a move on Kaysen Hendrickson in a turn 7 here.
He's going to try to set it up here. Not close enough to try anything. It's about, big slide right there by Fighting Sure. Gathers it back up, but close averted crisis about to be happening here as he now gets back onto the power. But just like you said, if that was in a 206 kart, he would have lost all that momentum after the big slide. But now he gathers it back up and continues to put the pressure back on. And as a matter of fact, they both ran almost identical lap times, a 21.6 to a 21.4 Fighting Sure faster that time by just a tick.
Yeah, it's just showing how close these two are on pace and how a little mistake can make all the difference. Fighting Sure is further back than he would have wanted to be from Kaysen Hendrickson. Fighting Sure with that moment in turn 7, it might not have been a whole bad thing though, because maybe it was a moment where he just broke a little bit later than he thought he could, but now knowing that you can go deeper into the corner and get that thing stopped might be trouble for Kaysen Hendrickson, as it seems like Fighting Sure is closing right back up to the back end of that 202 cart, and we'll have to see if Fighting Sure can get alongside. He almost does outside of 5, but we'll see if he has a motor on the back straight to pull up alongside or get the move done. It just seems like Hendrickson has the engine underneath him right now, Taylor, compared to Fighting Sure in second.
Absolutely, it seems to be the case, but a good run for Fighting Sure out of corner exit of turn number 10 as they come across the line just under 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Last time by Fighting Sure over, I'd say, 0.3 of a second faster than your race leader of Kaysen Hendrickson. Lincoln Wiley has fallen back to 3 seconds behind your race leaders. 8 seconds back is Leah Seminolik, who is all by himself in his own zip code for the time being, as the leaders work their way down the back straightaway here. And Fighting Sure not able to try anything. A little bit of a slide right there by Hendrickson, which allows Fighting Sure to close the gap back up. Looks around, try to find the opening around the outside, can't do it. Goes back in line, see if he can set himself up heading into 1.
Yeah, Fighting Sure just doesn't have the power plant compared to Kaysen Hendrickson. That, they can be side by side out of turn 5, but Hendrickson can pull about 2 or 3 cart lengths going into turn 7. Or it just seems like Fighting Sure is able to make all of that time back up in the corners, and especially in the tight and technical sections at the back half of the track and in the middle section on the what we call the old layout. As through turn 7 they go yet again. Fighting Sure is going to have to fight back from the lack of power. Side by side, though, as Hendrickson holds the inside lane. They might go side by side again down the front straightaway. Doesn't happen. Hendrickson continues to hold the lead over Fighting Sure, 1/10.5 separating them, and there is the outside rear of Kaysen Hendrickson starting to lose grip ever so slightly. He's got to be careful with that, Taylor, because if you continue to do that, like we said at the start of the race, it's going to heat up the rear tires more than they already are and potentially give a window for Fighting Sure to get by.
Absolutely, as we watch on heading in, a little bit of another slide right there. Fighting Sure gets a little bit of time gained compared to the driver of Kaysen Hendrickson, but so far it's going to be close. We're coming up now on going to be 4 laps to go by the looks of it, maybe. We'll see how it all plays out as they come across the line, and Hendrickson a little bit faster, but here comes Fighting Sure to get a big run out of those couple of corners as they head over to the hairpin. Lap traffic up ahead. That's Christopher Heinzen, who is up next to be put 1 lap down. So this could change a lot of the dynamics of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll be close if we get 2 to go this time or not. As you wait for the timer to hit 0 as Kaysen Hendrickson almost put his chances of winning this race to 0 as he went way wide there in turn 9.
Oh, we get it.
As we're going to get it. I think it was a little early. I think they would have had 3 to go that time by, but that's just on our ticker. Fighting Sure is alongside Hendrickson. Doesn't have the power to hold alongside for the entirety of turns 3 and 4 as the battle continues down the back straightaway, Taylor. Lap and a half to go to decide who's going to stand in the top step.
Absolutely, as we watch the field heading down into turn 7, and so far it's still about a cart to 2 cart length advantage. Give it to Hendrickson with that big engine helping him get his power down and able to hold off the hard charge of Fighting Sure in the closing stages. Coming now to the white flag one more time around for Kaysen Hendrickson. Does Fighting Sure have anything left in the tank to try anything? He's been a 10th or 2 slower each lap here in these closing stages. Let's see if he can just dig deep here in the closing stages of this race. Through the hairpin, up the banking they will go, and this is the opportune time for Fighting Sure to get the opening. He was able to sneak by a couple of wins already today. Let's see if he can capitalize on it and try it again. Down into turn 7. Not able to try anything there. Has to hit his marks and get a good run out of turn number 10. He is all over the back bumper of Kaysen Hendrickson as they head down the front straightaway. A little bit of a block right there by Hendrickson, and across the checkered flag, it will be Kaysen Hendrickson to take home the win. Fighting Sure is second, as Lincoln Wiley will round out third position. A great run for your podium finishers as the rest of the field comes across the line.
Yeah, Kaysen Hendrickson did what he had to do to stay in front. He'll take the unofficial win in Mini Swift. You can see they're Fighting Sure so close for Will. Almost had a potential win there, just unable to get by Kaysen Hendrickson. As you can see, the final 4-cycle category of the day and of the first round here of the Indy Karting Challenge at K1 Circuit Whiteland is about to get underway. It's the same front row as we saw in the heat race with Corkadale and Heber leading us to the green. And we are ready for what is the headline class in 206 racing here at IKC.
Absolutely. On the pole, it is going to be Evan McCorkadale on the front row, followed by Braden Heber, who's looking to try to go for 2-for-2 effort, followed by Levi Wilbur in row 2, with Nicholas Knotzman in 4th position. 5th place is Logan Lynch, followed by Gary Osborne in 6th. Row 4 will see Nick Patton and Andrew Goldman. Row 5 will see Braden Johnson and Gage Gestiano, and Joseph Dertier is going to start in 11th. Let's see if we actually get 11 karts out on the track when they head out for the finals action in your 206 medium category. Like we touched on, the big show here of the day, the first of 2 this afternoon in the Indy Karting Challenge here at K1 Circuit in Whiteland, Indiana. Don't forget, though, for all of you tuning in here live, make sure to tune back in next week on Kart Chaser as we kick off the SCUSA Pro Tour from beautiful New Caney, Texas in Speed Sports Racing Park as they kick off almost at 300 entries for the 2025 SCUSA Pro Tour. So hopefully we can get a couple of more, hit the big 3-0, maybe hit a couple of more entries before we kick off a brand new season of the SCUSA Pro Tour as the field works their way over into the starting lane. They get doubled up and get set to go racing in 206 medium.
Yeah, getting ready to go here for what is the headline class of 206 racing. It's going to be fun to watch. These 2 drivers at the front of the field were battling it out throughout the race. Another one to watch, Braden Johnson coming from the back. We're getting set to go green into the tram lines. We go for the final time in 206 medium, looking for the green flag. They'll get it on the first time of asking. We are great. Corkadale takes the inside line and the lead from Heber as they'll make their way onto the front straight shortly. And that is the front 2 starting to build already a little bit of a gap between themselves and Levi Wilbur in the 3rd spot as they'll cut across the timing and scoring beacon. Wilbur found something in turns 1 and 2 and closed that gap ever so slightly between McCorkadale and Heber. So he's going to be doing everything he can to try and make it so it's not a 2-kart battle for the win like we saw last time where they just checked out from the rest of the field. Levi Wilbur still on the coattails of Braden Heber on this opening lap.
He's going to try everything to keep up with the pace here that you see between Heber and McCorkadale as Wilbur keeps up the pace. Knotzman is starting to fall off into the clutches of Logan Lynch and Corey Osborne as they work their way across the front straightaway to start the opening lap with 9 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
Yeah, making their way through the old track now. Wilbur's starting to fall off ever so slightly. Yes, he's still in frame and still has a sniff of the rear bumper of Heber, but to be losing the leaders at this rate, at this early on in the race, doesn't bode well for Wilbur, and he's going to have to be defending from drivers behind him if they start to work together to catch up to that 3rd spot. But for the time being, McCorkadale leading the way with fresh air in front of him. Will be 8 minutes to go at the line and of course adding 2 laps to that as well. So a long, long way to go for Evan McCorkadale to try and get this race win, especially when Braden
Oh,
Heber goes
trouble.
purple last time across the stripe. The 73 MPG Motorsports machine, that's Nicholas Krustman, is in the barrier. He gets going again. That is unfortunate for the MPG Motorsports driver.
A very unfortunate situation there for Nicholas Knotzman and the MPG crew as we now watch McCorkadale and Heber battle it out. Heber shows the nose down to the bottom of the racetrack, not close enough to try anything there, but we'll see what happens as they snake their way through and continue on as they are losing track to Levi Wilbur, who has lost all of that time that he had. And across the line, 7.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. McCorkadale faster than Heber last time by. Wilbur sets a personal best along with Braden Johnson, who has moved up into 8th position, really struggling with that number 22 kart here today.
Yeah, I would have expected a little bit more from Braden Johnson this weekend. He goes on very well here at Whiteland and is a very quick 206 driver. So obviously they're fighting some gremlins with that machine, but can't take anything away from McCorkadale and Heber, who have been very consistent out in front and have shown pace throughout the day. And you can see that gap they've already built to Wilbur. It's about 1.3 or so seconds between Heber and Wilbur. And that's only going to grow, especially because Braden Heber just went purple, the first driver into the 42-second bracket in this race, a 42.982 for Braden Heber. McCorkadale just sitting outside of that bracket at a 43.011 last time across the stripe.
Of course, for Heber, looking to try and get a second win of the day here in the 206 medium after winning in 206 light, as he works his way around the circuit and keeping an eye on the competition as these drivers work their way around. Of course, McCorkadale won in the 206 Masters, so you have 2 different age groups going at it. You have the crazy old veteran of McCorkadale going up against the young future superstars of 206 competition of Braden Heber. So really good fight between the two, basically the veteran and the young rookie going at it once again here, as these two will do battle heading down the back straightaway, picking up a couple of other drivers. But that's one of the cool things with the 206 medium and the 206 heavy classes is you may get a little bit of cross breed or cross pollination with this, with drivers from the Masters running in the 206 medium or 206 heavy. Same thing with those in the 206 light or just 206 senior categories running in the medium and heavy categories as well.
Yeah, you see a lot more of the Masters or Legend drivers that we saw in the early morning sessions dip their toes into medium or heavy racing, and it's cool to see the old and the new generations going at it for race wins. And it's definitely always worth watching and getting on the fence line for if you're at the track. Quick note, Evan McCorkadale, going purple, last time by, now has about 2.5 tenths between himself and Braden Heber. There, you can see the other Braden of Braden Johnson, who is just in front of these two, of Corey Osborne and Nick Patton. They are one of the closer battles on track as it stands, as they are in the sixth spot, battle for 6th. That is crossing the line there. They're trying to catch up to the back end of Braden Johnson to potentially secure a top 5 for either one of them. But out in front, McCorkadale has been caught up by Braden Heber, Heber going a little less than a tenth faster that lap than McCorkadale and able to close into the back end of the 19 kart.
Only one of them will be able to pull the double here today as they work their way out of turn number 10. 4 minutes plus 2 laps to go. So we're looking just about another 6 laps or so possibly for these drivers as they work their way over into turn 2 and 3. McCorkadale just making sure he hits his mark. Last time by, Heber setting an absolute burner, almost a tenth faster than McCorkadale, which helps to that big toe that he's getting on these straightaways and staying tucked up behind McCorkadale in his machine.
Yeah, it's a fairly smart race from these two so far, not to really battle it out and to wait until the final couple of laps to really go at it and decide who will take the win for this 206 medium class. See there a shot of the front straight as they go whizzing by into turns 1 and 2. I wouldn't be surprised to see no moves made here, Taylor, until we get that 2 to go signal, because these guys seem to be enjoying working with each other. McCorkadale just going fastest on track of 42.4 for the 19 machine. So expect these guys to work together for the next couple of laps, but the second they see sticks in the air, then you can pull the pin on the grenade.
Absolutely. I think that is going to be the case here as we watch these drivers do battle and just not push the envelope, just start to pull away. And in fact, last time by, McCorkadale and Heber ran identical lap times. Let's see what the times are as they cross the line now. No changes, but trouble for the 141 machine of the AMAX Coyote.
It's Braden Johnson.
Braden Johnson.
That is not the date Braden would have wanted. That is unfortunate for him after having pace in both of the 206 categories to actually fight for a win. Is going to come away with 2 DNFs in both light and medium.
Field now working their way through. 2-minute warning plus 2 laps, but a tough break for Braden Johnson. Definitely have to go back to the drawing board for the next race here in a few weeks' time for him if he wants to try to find a way to rebound in this championship. Of course, if I remember correctly, checking with the rules, you are allowed at least 1 drop for this season. Is that correct, Nate?
I believe so. It's fairly common with most club races to allow at least 1 or 2 drops. So, of course, it's nice to fall back on that and to know if you do have a bad weekend, it's not the end of your championship, but most likely to be using the drop for both of your classes this early on in the season is not what AMAX and Braden Johnson would have wanted, so it's going to add a little bit of pressure. So 2 drops are allowed here, and so that's going to help Braden Johnson, isn't it, Taylor, knowing that he hasn't used up his 1 drop early on in the season.
A little bit. It depends on how well it goes for him next race or the next round at round 2 on April the 5th. So if he's able to find what the problem is, fix it, and get back at it, yes. But if not, then it's not going to be a good season.
Yeah, absolutely there. Obviously, it's better than just having 1 drop and going into the next race thinking, well, having the pressure well and truly on for the rest of the season. But yeah, again, still, it's pressure on for Braden Johnson, but not as much as if it was just that 1 drop. 25 seconds remaining. It'll be 23 as they cross the timing and scoring beacon. Heber just went purple yet again, so times are continuing to ramp up in this race. I believe we have a bit of lap traffic to deal with the 3 to go signal, which was last time across the stripe. The clock will hit 0 and we'll get 2 to go next time they come across the start-finish line as they make their way down the straightaway into turn 7. Wonder if Heber and McCorkadale will have a little bit of a gentleman's agreement to get by as the lap driver just gets out of the way nice and easy for those two. So they'll be seeing sticks in the air this time by Taylor. 2 laps to go to decide who gets the double up on wins today.
Absolutely, as they work their way through, McCorkadale hits his marks, no pressure whatsoever, as Heber gets a good run out of turn number 2 and 3. He now sets his sights for 5 in the hairpin for heading up the banking of turn number 6. Let's see what Heber can do. Does he decide to stay patient, wait for the final lap, or does he make his move and go for an attack? Heading down into the braking zone, shows the nose, thinks better of it. Going to stay tucked up behind as they come through the final couple of corners to take the white flag here today at the K1 Circuit in Whiteland. Down the front straightaway, white flag in the air. One more time around for McCorkadale and Braden Heber. Both of them running almost identical lap times, lap after lap, and it's really a great show between the 2 superstars of the 206 medium. McCorkadale hitting the bumps a little bit. This could open the door. Here comes Heber to the inside. He makes his move and completes the pass pass. A beautiful job. McCorkadale tries to respond, heading into the banking side by side for the race lead as they drag race down the back straightaway. McCorkadale goes on to the defensive to hold off the drive of Heber as they go into the braking zone. A little bit of a wide run right there by McCorkadale, who has to stay on the defensive line. Here comes Heber, though, with a big run down the front straightaway for the final time, and it's going to be McCorkadale, possibly, yes, will take home the win and go 2 for 2 here today at K1 Circuit in Whiteland.
Levi Wilbur coming across the line to complete the podium. A bit of a too soon junior moment for Braden Heber. I just had to do it somewhere where he wasn't expecting it, I think, and just wasn't able to make that pass complete in turn 5. Allowed that inside line for McCorkadale in turn 6 and put himself on the back foot going into the crucial corner of turn 7 on that final lap like we've seen so many times. There's your unofficial results for 206 Senior Medium, as we only have a couple more classes to go before we round out the opening round of the Indy Karting Challenge here at K1 Circuit Whiteland.
Absolutely. It is time to go to cycle racing with the KA categories. First up on the docket, it is the KA Junior category. And let's go ahead and give you your starting lineup for the KA Juniors. On the front row, it is Ryan Mort with the MPG Kart Republic. Then you see the AJ Stoner machine as he joins on to the track. Evan Patton will start in row 2 with Lucian Lazier in the New Gen machine. Then in row 3 is Mason Ward and Ben Hawhey in 6th position. Row 4 will see Case Reth and Andrew Avelos and Mason Gallane in 5th. Row 5 in 9th position for the top kart. That is going to be one to watch because he definitely had some pace in the opening laps, but unfortunately with contact between him and Avelos, that is going to definitely be 2 drivers to watch in these opening laps to see what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's going to be hard to try and beat Ryan Mort or AJ Stoner. Evan Patton seemed like he had the pace last race to be able to contend, but those 2 out in front were hard drivers to contend with, as we will be waiting for the green light shortly here, Taylor, to get KA Junior underway.
Absolutely. Into the start zone, the tram line, green flag is out, and away we go. And already a little beating and banging over the curbing they will go. Stoner takes over the race lead from Ryan Mort. Mort tries to come back around the outside, can't quite make it work, and will lead the charge down the front straightaway for the first time. And AJ Stoner leads him heading into turn 1.
Yeah, good jump there for AJ Stoner to get the run on Ryan Mort and the MPG Motorsports crew to have free air in front of him and lead the way at the opening stages of this race. Down the back straight they will go for the first time in anger, and we'll have to see if Ryan Mort makes a move to the inside. He does. Lead change in KA Junior on the opening lap of this one. That's going to put AMAX teammates 2nd and 3rd. Stoner's going to try the over-under there onto the front straight. Couldn't quite get it done in turn 10, but it'll be close going into turns 1 and 2 here, Taylor.
It certainly will as we watch these drivers battle it out for position heading off into the corner, and so far so good for Ryan Mort as Stoner is now under pressure from Patton and Ward as they climb the banking.
Yeah, AJ Stoner having a huge moment there in turn 3 that he had to collect that moves him down into 4th as the top car driver of Ward, I believe, went way wide through turn 7. So that's obviously not ideal to be that far off the racing line and into the marbles, but further out in front, Ryan Mort, purple last time across the stripe, 4.5 tenths in front of Evan Patton, AJ Stoner, Mason Ward, Andrew Evlos. Your top 5 for the time being is that front 3. It's really started to step away from the rest of the pack. Seems like the winner's going to come from one of those 3 as Velos up the inside of Mason Ward on that top kart. Ward will fight it back through 8 and 9 as they'll continue to fight and just allow that front 3 to walk away from the rest of the pack.
Absolutely, as the field works their way across the start-finish line, Mason Ward picking up some spots in the 4th position. That gaggle of karts is going to be one to watch indeed, as Patton now starting to barrel down onto your race leader of Ryan Mort. As they come up to the banking, Patton gets a good run there. Can he maybe put the pressure on Ryan Mort and surprise us a little bit here with this KA? He'll send it to the inside in that LN kart and does so. Beautiful pass there for the AMAX team in Lando Norris kart. But here comes Mort with a head of steam to try to put the attack back on.
Yeah, it was a good move for Patton and to be able to use that fastest lap as well to his advantage. AJ Stoner, though, resetting fast time, so AMAX have been holding that fastest lap. Of course, the OTKs that AMAX are running seem to be the quick way to go at the opening stages of this race, as Ryan Mort's Kart Republic has been quick, but has not been the fastest overall on track for quite some time. That being said, though, it's not going to stop him from going to the inside of Evan Patton. Another lead change here in KA Junior. Is now Patton and Stoner are going to have to work together, the AMAX teammates, to try and find a way past the Race Factory MPG Motorsports machine.
Absolutely, as they work their way through. Patton now trying to see what he can do in his LN kart, trying to show the nose a little bit here and there. Stoner right there in the hunt, as the three of them, big run coming out of turn number 6 as they make the run to turn 7. As here they come, the 2 LN karts around the outside, see if they can push the driver of Patton ahead of Mort, and so far give the position over to Evan Patton, your new race leader here with 6 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it was a good move from Patton and really showing his racecraft in the early stages of this race. And for the opening round of the season, it's boding well for Evan Patton as a driver that at least I haven't seen too much of his racing journey, so been very impressed with him so far this weekend, and will most likely be challenging, like I said, for championships at the tail end of the season at this pace. However, though, Ryan Mort wants this race win even more and takes it up the inside in turn 7, gets the move done, and all of this, Taylor, is bringing the number 7 of Andrew Evlos into the mix and into the podium fight here with just over 5 minutes to go.
It really is. It's a Kart Republic and then 2 LN karts, and actually 3 LN karts. So this is going to be an interesting fight, as the Lando Norris karts could have a good opportunity to work together and take the fight to the MPG machine Kart Republic as they head down into turn number 7. Patton trying to be a little bit defensive, staying glued to the back bumper of Ryan Mort. 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go for them as they come out of turn number 10 and make the run to the start finish.
Yeah, Mort's, with all of this driving and battling that has been going on, Ryan Mort has brought another AMAX machine into it, and it's just going to be even more difficult for him to try and hold on to this race lead. It's 3 against 1, as it is the battle for Whiteland, as it is, with both of these teams being based out of K1 Circuit Whiteland. Another lead change. Evan Patton tried up the inside, unable to get it done. Ryan Mort will hold on to it for the time being, though, is now Stoner under pressure from his teammate behind.
He's trying everything he can, but also realizes there's still quite a bit of racing left to go, as Ryan Mort just makes sure he hits his marks, hits the apex corner exits, and tries everything he can to keep the 3 raging LN karts behind him in these closing minutes as they come up to the banking of turn number 6. And so far, he's starting to break away just a little bit. But here comes the LN karts with another big run down the back straightaway, heading into turn number 7, and a little bit of battling amongst the teammates of the AMAX LN karts of Stoner and Avelos. Avelos maybe need to try to consider working with Stoner to see if they can help Patton get around Mort before this race is over.
Yeah, I think at this point, as Avelos goes purple across the board, so driver that I didn't really have my eye on at the start of the heat races or in qualifying is really proving himself in that 3rd position, but You know, you see three teammates up there and think, yeah, they might have an advantage on Mort. Is more passing going on later on in the pack. That's a Velos up the inside in for second. Patton's going to try and fight back. This is not what you need to be doing, guys. Like I was saying, yeah, you have three teammates there, but at this stage of the race, it is one for all and all for one. They all want to try and get this win. They all can't stand on that top step, Taylor, and they're all fighting for the win. Unfortunately, that's allowing Ryan Mort to further extend his gap. It was 7/10 across the line last time by. Evan Patton losing more than half a second to the race leader.
See, that was my point. Like, I understand Avelos. He's got the faster kart out of these three drivers in his team. I understand him going for it, but also realizing the importance of working together. You outnumber your competitor 3 versus 1. And with you doing stuff like that, that could cause some serious situations to where you could lose out on at least having a shot of winning the race. If this was 2 laps or the final lap, different story. But there's still quite a bit of racing left to go. And now Patton's got to refire everything up and get back going to try and catch back up. He's 0.6 of a second behind. And we know Patton has the pace, but the problem is, once he gets him, can he find his opening to get by him before the checkered flag? That's going to be the question. And I have a feeling with Avelos being aggressive with trying to make passes with him and Stoner, that's going to cause a whole lot of damage to where they might not have that shot to win in KA Junior.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point you bring up. And honestly, I think the AMAX squad might have a little bit of a word with their drivers after this one to try and secure some better results in the future. That being said, we still have about 4 laps left in this KA Junior main event. Patton set purple time last time by, and you have to give it to Ryan Mort, who has not had the fastest kart on any lap throughout this race. It seems like the AMAX machines have been so fast compared to what the MPG Kart Republic has been able to put down, but still, Ryan Mort has stayed firm at the front of this field. I think we'll get another lap as well, so this should be 4 to go. Last time across the stripe, if they don't battle too much, because it was about 38 seconds was the last lap time. I think they crossed with 39 seconds to go. That being said, AJ Stoner going purple last time across the stripe. So the driver in 4th, who's 1.2 seconds back, is going to have some work to do to be able to put that kart to good use.
Absolutely, as they snake their way through 7, 8, 9, and turn number 10. Let's see if we get the 2-lap to go signal this time by, or do we get one more lap before Popsicle Sticks? No, 2 to go this time by for Mort and Patton. Does Patton now realize it is go time, or does he try to do what Heber did in the 206 medium category and try to make a move on the final lap? Here comes Avelos and Stoner, as Stoner goes purple once again as he tries to see if they can do anything to get around the Kart Republic of MPG. Heading into turn number 7, no one's close enough to make a move just yet, and now sets them sight for the white flag this time by.
At this point, Taylor, once you get to a back bumper, you gotta pass them. You can't be smart about this. You just have to see a gap and go for it. White flag in the air this time by for Ryan Mort over Evan Patton as they'll make their way through the tight technical section of 2 and 3. Side by side for the race win. Elbows are getting out. Here comes Avelos as well. Stoner purple last time by. And somehow, Taylor, Ryan Mort still leads the way onto the back straightaway, but it's not over yet.
Down the back straightaway, and we see Mort go on the defensive, but here comes Patton around the outside. Avela sends it 3 wide as they come out of turn number 7. Side by side for the race lead. He gets pushed off. Avelas goes around the outside of both of them to take over the race lead, possibly. And let's see who comes across the line. Checkered flag in the air. AJ Stoner gets the 2-for-1 special out of turn number 10 to take home the win. And how about that? What a better way to do it than do it in style. It's a AMAX Lando Norris kart. 1, 2, 3. They were able to beat out Ryan Mort in the MPG Kart Republic in amazing fashion. I'm pretty sure there's still going to be a little bit of talking to, but also they were able to recover nicely with Stoner taking home the KA Junior win.
Yeah, how about it from AJ Stoner, starting that final lap from off the podium to taking a race win. How about it for the AMAX squad? Like you said, it's a podium lockout for those drivers. And now, unfortunately, just one more class to go for the opening round of the Indy Karting Challenge here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. It's the K100 Seniors and the KA100 Masters getting set to take the track on this final race of the day.
And with that, let's go ahead and give you your final field rundown. On the pole in the Haas machine of Elijah Fox, AJ Lund in the top cart in row 1. In row 2, we'll see Blake Finley, followed by Clay Robbins. Row 3, we'll see Hudson Potter and Raider Santos. In row 4, we will see Macy Galen and Jedediah Jonas. And then row 5 is Kyle Landon. In row number 6 for the pole position in your KA Masters is Joshua Nelson and Kevin Simonelik. There you see the Haas machine of Elijah Fox, one of the front runners we can always guarantee to put on a good show. He's got to worry about 2 top carts, though, right behind him of Lund and Blake Finley right there on the shot. Let's see here. Gates are about to be open to release the hounds here today and let them take flight at K1 Circuit in Whiteland for the final race of the Indy Karting Challenge for the 2025 season. And out onto the track they will go.
You have to think you're not going to see as much of a battle for the win as we saw in KA Junior. These drivers been racing a bit longer than the juniors we just saw. Instead of playing checkers, these guys know how to play chess with each other, and if it means working together for most of the race to try and build a gap, they're going to do it. Especially Eli Fox and AJ Lund know how to get it done around Whiteland, so they're going to try their best to make it a 2-kart battle for the win.
Absolutely, as they make their way out onto the track. I gotta come to you, Nate. Who is your one that you're gonna want to see, or not want to, but what is going to be the one that will be up at the front?
I mean, they're already at the front, aren't they? Eli Fox and AJ Lund are the ones to look out for. Personal favorite, if we're picking them, Raider Santos is such an amazing kid who's been putting in the hours to try and get better throughout the past couple of seasons. Been able to see him develop at the Route 66 Sprint Series. He's rolling off in the 5th position, hoping he can get a podium as they go into the tram lines here.
I'm going to have to go with Elijah Fox, your pole sitter. He's been dominant, but also been able to take care of his equipment into the tram line for the final time. Green flag is out, and we're racing for 10 minutes plus 2 laps here in your KA Seniors and Masters. And already AJ Lund putting the pressure on Elijah Fox as they head down to front straightaway to start the opening lap. Single file for the time being as they head off into turn number 1, and Lund puts the bumper a little bit to Fox. Clay Robbins sits comfortably in the 3rd spot as your top 5 are single file.
Yeah, if you're not Fox or Lund and you're in with a shout at that race lead, this is the time where you have to go, where you have to stir the pot a little bit. If you see a gap open up, just go for it. Don't worry about, the rest of the field getting brought into this fight. If you don't do anything, then these two are going to do exactly what they're doing now and start to build a gap to the rest of the field that ultimately no one has the pace to close in on.
Absolutely, as we watch this battle here for the race lead between Fox and Lund. Fox setting fastest lap of the race so far. Lund right there staying glued to the back bumper of the Haas machine. The top cart is all trying to just stay in pace, stay within shot, and be ready to try and pull away from the competition as we are seeing a couple of more top carts following behind of Robbins, Finley, and then Santos there a little further back. As trouble for one cart, the 414 of Clay Robbins off the track.
That is from 3rd place. That is huge for Clay Robbins. Not at all what you want to see. A driver that could have been on the podium, obviously with him running in 3rd, is Blake Finley will now replace him. So 2 top car drivers on the podium as they are going currently. But
trouble.
Looks like 21 also having to spin. That's one of the KA Masters drivers. It might have been the leader, actually. Nelson in that 21 cart. But we'll have to see. That's unfortunate for him, but he's got a long race to try and figure it out. There you see Ryder Santos on screen battling it out with Finley for that podium position. So we'll have to see how those guys shake out for the final spot on the box. But race leaders, you can see there, Eli Fox and AJ Lund, with Lund on the top car going fastest last time across the stripe. He has the kart to get it done at this current moment. He closed down a 10.5 gap to Eli Fox last time by, and I'm surprised to see AJ Lund not just go for it at this early stage of the race. You never know when you're going to get that chance to get by a driver like Eli Fox around Whiteland. So to me personally, when you get that chance, you just have to take it and run.
Absolutely. Take the position, run away as quickly as possible, and hope to the best here as he is trying to pull away 7 minutes plus 2 laps to go, as Fox and Lund have pulled out by 2.1 seconds ahead of Blake Finley and company behind.
Yeah, as that gap just continues to grow between second and third for the time being. Finley is now 1.9 seconds back from the race for the lead. And I think as a driver at this point of the race, you're kind of hoping for the drivers in front to battle it out a little bit more to bring you into it. But I think these guys know when Eli Fox and AJ Lund are out in front. Quick side note, Eli Fox going purple last time across the stripe. But if you're sitting in third right now, you kind of know you don't really have a shot at this race win or catching up to those guys. You're going to start driving in this third position like it's for the win, as Ryder Santos almost had a run to get by Blake Finley for that third spot out of turn 5. He's going to file back in line in a bit of a top kart sandwich with Hudson Potter in that 5th spot as they'll continue to battle out for the final spot on the podium.
They are certainly doing that here. 6 minutes plus 2 laps to go here as the drivers work their way around the circuit. So far, so good for them as they're putting on a really good fight for that 4th and 5th position.
AJ Lund going purple last time across the stripe as well. So 2.5 tenths back was Lund when he crossed the time and scoring beacon just a few moments ago. So you have to think that Lund might see that Fox is able to get those moves done. Speaking of getting moves done, is Potter on the inside of Santos, who defends hard and makes sure that Potter doesn't take that position away, but they're going to have to work together ever so slightly to get to Blake Finley for that final spot on the podium. About 5 minutes left here. Taylor, of course, adding those 2 laps, but time is starting to wind down and the opportunities along with it.
They are certainly starting to wind down further and further. Can AJ Lund have anything for Elijah Fox? Meanwhile, there you see the other two top karts and a Coyote for Amax trying to see what they can do. Finley and Potter in the top karts, while Ryder Santos right there with the Coyote trying to see if those 3 can hunt down your top 2 drivers here in the closing stages of this race. 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps. A lot of work to do.
Yeah, Ryder Santos on board his Tony kart. It's easy to get the 2 mixed up with Amax running 2 different chassis between the 2 engine manufacturers. They tend to run the Coyote chassis when it comes to 206 competition, and then the OTK machines when it comes to 2-cycle. Up the inside, though, this is for a podium spot. Ryder Santos into P3 and gets that job done on the 2 top kart drivers. Needs to be weary of the over-under outside of turn 11, but gets the job done, and that puts Ryder Santos and Amax onto the podium as things stand.
Absolutely a great run right here as we keep an eye on the competition between these 2 drivers. And here he comes around the outside and will try to get the 3rd spot away. Ryder Santos, your new podium finisher, as they go 2 wide, almost 3 wide, heading into turn numbers 5 and 6.
Yeah, I almost got shuffled back there. Now Ryder's right back where he found himself about a lap ago, staring at a top kart, trying to get onto the podium for the first round of the season. I think Ryder is probably aiming for a top 5, top 3 finish in the overall points this year. This is a good place to start off in the season, but obviously being on the podium would be a huge result for him and for the other drivers like Blake Finley and Hudson Potter. We'll have to see which one of these three will be the final driver on that podium. We just passed over 3 minutes to go where Eli Fox went purple last time across the stripe. He has a 0.3 of a second advantage over AJ Lund, but we're going to stay with this battle for third between the two Top Kart drivers and the AMAX driver sandwiched in the middle of Ryder Santos. Finley doing a good job to hold off Santos for the time being, but still, Taylor, you have 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Anything can happen, is like we saw in the KA Junior race not too long ago. It even comes down to the final couple of corners where all the drama can unfold.
Absolutely, a lot of drama still to unfold here as we watch, and Finley starting to pull away further and further from Santos and Potter here in the closing stages, as a lot can still happen. Tough break, though, for the rest of the field, as a couple of drivers have pulled off. Clay Robbins out of the race, and then the battle for the KA Masters, Simonelli comfortably ahead of Joshua Nelson by 4 seconds.
Yeah, Eli Fox is really starting to check out here, isn't he? From AJ Lund, who Lund seemed like he had a couple of opportunities earlier on in this race to try and get by, but he'll probably be thinking coulda, shoulda, woulda at this stage of the race as he sees his chances at a win start to fade off into the distance, as it will be a little under 1.5 minutes to go on the clock, of course, with those 2 laps added at the end. It seems like Eli Fox has this one all but wrapped up, as just to put another nail in the coffin, goes purple compared to AJ Lund and puts another 1/10 of a second on the Top Kart driver.
Absolutely a good run indeed here for these drivers as we are closing in on 1 minute plus 2 laps to go as they work their way through. And so far, we are looking closer and closer for a chance to see what Elijah Fox, who just set another personal best last time by.
Yeah, coming across the line again, doesn't improve, but he does build that gap to AJ Lund. Waiting to see the gap between third there. As you can see, when we were talking, Ryder Santos did get by Hudson Potter and Blake Finley for that third spot. With a little bit of a gap, that's a comfortable cushion for the time being for the 936 of Ryder Santos on that AMAX Tony Kart, making their way down the back straight, not looking back, just focusing on the job at hand for Raider as the sun starts to set here on this fairly cold Indiana Saturday. But like we've been saying, you can't complain when it's opening day of the Indy Karting Challenge season. You can't really complain when you're at the track. Just now, you will see the timer hit 0. So next time across the stripe for Eli Fox, it's going to be 2 laps to go. AJ Lund is pretty much out of contention of the win at this point, but the battle for third and the final spot on the podium is continuing to go on, with Ryder Santos leading Potter and Finley.
Absolutely, as they come around to get the 2 lap to go signal this time by, it's going to be one of excitement. But for Elijah Fox, he is looking to take on a chance to win, kick off the season in fashion. As we watch the drivers work their way through there, you see the rest of the field working their way around the circuit, coming up to turn number 6 for the final couple of times here as they work their way down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Fox has been clinical all day long, hasn't he? And just going to see the white flag next time by to finish off what has been a dominant day for Eli Fox. Is looking back on timing and scoring, AJ Lund 1.6 seconds back. Ryder Santos still holding on to that battle for third. Taylor, is what a day of racing it has been. And K Senior closing it out here.
What a day indeed as we watch Elijah Fox leading the charge down out of turn number 6, down the back straightaway for the final time as they head off into the final couple of corners of turn 7, 8, and 9. Elijah Fox and the Haase machine is going to kick off 2025 with a win in style. Checkered flag in the air for them, as this will conclude the final race of the day. AJ Lund in second, Raider Santos, the driver who you were picking, comes home with a strong podium finish, as Kevin Simonellic was able to hold off and win the KA Masters division as well. Then it's Blake Finley and Hudson Potter, your top 5.
And you can pick out your favorite driver from the unofficial results there for the KA Masters and KA Senior. Final couple of drivers coming across the line now to take the checkered flag on what has been an exciting day of racing for the opening round of the Indy Karting Challenge here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. And what a day it's been, Taylor. As the sun's starting to set on what it was a cold day. It was difficult conditions for most of these drivers, but a lot of them rose to the occasion, and can't wait to see more of it further on the season.
Absolutely. We look forward to it. Of course, the next round for the Indy Karting Challenge is only a couple of weeks away. On May the 5th, or April the 5th, I should say, is the second round of the championship. So we'll be back here for Kart Chasers coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge then. But our next event, though, is next week for the 2025 SCUSA Pro Tour Championship from Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. It's the first time that the SCUSA Pro Tour will go there in quite some time, and we're excited to have you all the coverage. But for that, it is time we come to a close. For the entire Kart Chaser team on the track, and of course for myself and Nate Dean, we'll see you next time here on Kart Chaser.